TinkerCAD tips. It's been a while since I've done anything on keychains, and I thought in this tutorial that I would go over how to create this vertical text. And we've talked about using Canva before, how to capture those images to turn them into SVGs, and then to reinforce some of the techniques that we can do with SVG files. So let's move these up out of the way. And let's jump over to Canva. This is Canva. You can get a free account here. Once you're signed into Canva from the home page, we're going to click on Document. Then once we're here, we're going to click on this plus sign and click on Design. Once we're in Design, over here on the left, we're going to click on Text. And then up here, we're going to click on Add Text Box. Over here on the right, we're going to be able to put our text. Let's first pick a good font. We'll click up here in the font area. And down along the left here will be a lot of different fonts that we could use. Let's use this one, for instance. This is pretty straightforward. Okay, that font is selected. Let's zoom in over here on the right panel and let's change our text to the word fantastic. There we have our word in there. Let's close the font window for a moment. All right, on this text over here, let's click on that text box and we'll drag it up a bit. Now we want to grab this edge and we'll bring that edge in. That will take all of our text and move it into a single row. Okay, let's zoom in just a little bit here. There we go. Now we can also adjust this spacing. So while this is selected, right up here, we'll click on this box. We can decrease this line spacing. That'll sort of squeeze those letters together a little closer. There we go. Let's increase the size a little bit. We want to fill that window as much as we can. Once we have that laid out on the screen, I'm just going to use a simple snipping tool. This is the screen capture tool. And I'm going to select around those letters. Pops up here. I'm going to save that. And we're going to call it Keychain JPEG. So I'm saving that as a JPEG. All right. Now we're going to jump over to my favorite conversion site. This is convertio.co, not .com, .co. Click on Choose Files. There's my Keychain JPEG. I'm going to make it, turn it into an SVG. I'm going to click on Convert. When it's ready to download, we'll click on that. Save that back to that same folder called keychain.svg. We'll save that. Now let's come back to TinkerCAD. Let's come here and let's do Import. Choose from File. There's our SVG, and let's click on that. All right, let's click on Art instead of Artboard. We want to make this Art. We'll say Import. Once it's imported, we may need to alter the size here a bit. Let's shrink that up. Zoom back in here. There's something a little more reasonable. And just like any object, we can resize any of this. Let's change that to white lettering. There we go. All right, now what's special about SVGs are some of the things that we can do while they're in SVG mode. For instance, the first thing that you should always do once you've brought an SVG in is increase the quality to 24. Now, we need to put a background on this, and we also need to fill in some of these holes in the letters. So I'm going to select on the letters here. I'm going to click duplicate. Now I have that duplicate. I'm going to change my duplicate to black. And I'm also going to come down here and I'm going to change it to silhouette. I'm going to change the height to 5 for now. And if you see here, the holes in the A's have been filled in. Let's click on the white part again. So let's make the halo that goes around it. We'll do another duplicate. We'll make that black as well. Change the height also to 5. The quality is already at 24. Now the fill mode on this, we want to be outer line. We'll say that it's round. And then we can change this line width, adjust it up to the point where it makes us a nice background. So that's how you would do that. We can also do this with a square shape. Now, of course, on this one here, you could combine these, you could put a hole up at the top, etc. But let's make a duplicate of our letters here. Let's do this with more of a square background. Let's take this out here. Let's bring that down pretty thin. You know what? Let's delete that. Let's bring this out and let's use the dialog so we can put a radius on it. So let's put a slight radius. There we go. Number of steps. Let's increase the length. There we go. Let's increase the width. Let's lower the height of this so we can see where we're at. There we go. We could center the two of those. Or perhaps move the lettering down a little bit. We could also put a hole in it for a key ring. Let's bring this up. Holding down Alt and Shift, I'll decrease the size of that. Move it in here. Let's do a quick alignment. We could select all of those, group them together, and let's change those to multicolor. So there's a couple quick ways of making keychains using the SVG techniques and then using the Canva site in order to make vertical lettering. Questions, comments, you know where to drop those, and as always, like, follow, and share.